You just spent 4 hours studying for your exam, highlighting every important point, rereading your notes 3 times, and you felt confident walking out of that study session. But when you sit down to take the test 3 days later, your mind goes completely blank. You probably thought you were just bad at studying, or maybe you don't have a good memory. But here's the thing. You're not the problem. The way you're studying is fighting against how your brain actually works. What if I told you there's a 15-minute daily technique that can help you retain 3 times more information, and it's based on research that won a Nobel Prize? By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why you forget everything you study, and more importantly, you'll have a simple system to make your memories stick permanently. Let's dive in. Here's what's actually happening in your brain. German psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus discovered something shocking in the 1880s that's been replicated countless times since. Within an hour of learning new information, people tend to forget up to 50% of it. Within 24 hours, this can increase to 70%. By the end of the week, people tend to retain only about 25% of what they've learned. This isn't just one study. It's been replicated across dozens of universities with thousands of students, and the pattern is consistently documented across modern memory research. Here's why this changes everything. Most people respond to forgetting by studying harder and longer. But that's like trying to fill a bucket with a massive hole in the bottom. You're not addressing the real problem. You're just pouring in more water. The solution isn't studying more. It's studying in a way that repairs the hole. Let me show you exactly what's happening when you forget something. When you first learn information, your brain creates what neuroscientists call a memory trace. Think of it like a path through the forest. When this path is new, it's barely visible. Your brain is constantly deciding which memories are important enough to keep and which ones to discard. And here's the kicker. If you don't revisit that information, your brain assumes it's not important. The path gets overgrown and eventually disappears completely. Most study techniques work against this natural process. Highlighting, rereading, cramming the night before, these methods trick you into thinking you're learning because the information feels familiar in the moment. But familiarity isn't the same as memory. You might be thinking, but I understand everything when I study it. That's exactly the trap. Understanding in the moment doesn't equal remembering later. Your brain needs something completely different to make memories permanent. German psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus discovered something fascinating in 1885 that neuroscience has now confirmed with brain imaging. When you encounter information just once, it gets stored in what's called your working memory. Think of this like your brain's temporary sticky notes. But to move information into long-term storage where you can actually access it weeks or months later, your brain needs 2 specific signals. First, it needs repetition, but not the kind you think. And second, it needs what researchers call retrieval practice. Here's where it gets interesting. The timing of your repetition matters more than the amount. Research from cognitive scientists shows that reviewing information at increasing intervals, what scientists call spaced repetition, can improve retention by up to 200% compared to cramming methods. But there's a second problem most people miss. Even when students do review information, they do it wrong. They reread their notes, which feels productive but barely strengthens the memory trace at all. What actually works is forcing your brain to retrieve the information from memory without looking at your notes first. Here's the 15-minute solution that changes everything. It's based on what cognitive scientists call the spacing effect and testing effect combined. Instead of studying for hours in one sitting, you're going to distribute your study sessions using a specific pattern that exploits how your brain naturally consolidates memories. Here's exactly how it works. After you first study something new, you review it again after 1 day, then after 3 days, then after 1 week, then after 2 weeks, then after 1 month. Each review session takes just 5 to 15 minutes, but the memory becomes stronger every time. But here's the crucial part, and this is where most people get it wrong. During each review, you don't just reread your notes. Instead, you close your book and try to recall everything you can remember. Only after you've retrieved what you can do, you check your notes to see what you missed. This is called active recall, and brain imaging shows it literally rewires your neural pathways. When you force your brain to retrieve information, you're not just accessing the memory, you're making it stronger every time. Let me give you the exact system. First, create what I call a review calendar. This can be a simple spreadsheet, a calendar app, or even a notebook. When you study something new, immediately schedule your 5 review sessions using the spacing pattern I just showed you. Second, during your initial study session, create what researchers call retrieval cues. These are simple questions or keywords that will trigger your memory later. Instead of highlighting your textbook, write questions in the margins like, what are the 3 main causes of, or how does this process work? Third, make your review sessions active, not passive. Set a timer for 10 minutes. Close all your materials and write down everything you can remember about the topic. Don't worry about getting it perfect. The struggle to remember is actually what strengthens the neural pathway. Fourth, only after you've attempted to recall everything do you check your notes. Look for what you missed or got wrong, and pay special attention to these gaps. They're showing you exactly what needs more reinforcement. Finally, stick to the schedule. The magic happens in the spacing. Each time you successfully retrieve information at increasing intervals, you're proving to your brain that this knowledge is important and worth keeping permanently. Students who use this exact system typically see results within 2 weeks. Instead of forgetting 90% of what they study, they retain 60-70%, even months later. That's not just better grades. That's actually learning in a way that builds real expertise over time. Research consistently shows that students using spaced repetition and active recall significantly outperform their peers using traditional study methods. Studies have documented improvements ranging from 10 to 20% higher test scores on average. The technique works for everything from medical school to language learning to professional certifications. You can expect to see improvement in your next exam, but the real benefits compound over time. Information you review using this method becomes part of your permanent knowledge base. Here's your challenge. Pick one topic you're currently studying and implement this system starting today. Create your review calendar right now. Schedule your first review for tomorrow, then 3 days from now, then 1 week, 2 weeks, and 1 month. For your first active recall session, set a timer for 15 minutes and write down everything you can remember about that topic without looking at any materials. Then check your notes and identify what you missed. That's it. You've just used the most powerful learning technique known to cognitive science. What's your biggest challenge with forgetting what you study? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one and often create videos based on your questions. If this changed how you think about memory and studying, hit the like button so more students can discover these evidence-based techniques. And if you want to supercharge this system even further, check out my video on the Feynman technique. It's the perfect complement to spaced repetition and will help you understand complex topics at an even deeper level. Remember, you're not bad at learning. You just needed to learn how to learn. Start using this system today and watch your retention transform from 10% to 70% in just a few weeks.